NIO stock continuing its ascent per our expectations. Now, how high can it go? And actually, when will it stop? Let's go ahead and find out in this video. What is up, you guys? This is ARCa coming at you with an NIO technicals, raw price action, and statistical threat of analysis. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community, ARCab, in Discord. But with that said, let's go ahead and begin. So we are looking at NIO in the higher term time frame here. So this is a weekly chart, and we actually caught this about 5 weeks ago. We said that 6 weeks ago we actually said that we were going to touch down to this lower support level of the broadening descending wedge in which we've been riding for some time now. Actually, since about January 2021, this has been the trend in which we're doing. So if we're following the golden rule of 3 here, it still applies, and it actually is more valid within a larger time frame. We're looking at test number 1, 2, and 3 of the resistance, followed by a capitulation event or accumulation of sorts. And now we are making our ascent, as per expected, to the upside in hopes of attempting to break out on test number 4. So upon the breakout of test number 4, we're actually going to come back and test our newly converted resistance into support before a continuation on to the upside. Per price action in technicals, we can actually see that the resistance of this top trend line here, which is the resistance of the broadening descending wedge, is confluent with our 2.618 Fibonacci golden mean ratio, the golden ratio here at about $18.88 or 1868 around there. Or what is that? 1888. Yeah. Okay, so this is like, just like I said here, it's gonna take days for us in weeks for us to make this happen. Somebody actually asked me a few weeks ago, how long do you think it's gonna take before we can reach this price objective? I said weeks. No way, no way. We're gonna take time here. Now, the price objective, which can be found at the genesis of this formation, is essentially where NIO stock can be going in the next weeks or months. Okay, so I'm talking about a price objective of 67.30 from this bottom here, which is exponentially high. Okay, so we are on that ascent right now. It's looking good thus far. Let's move on to the next chart to see what we have. Okay, so this is the 8-hour chart, and I have noticed that we have been riding an ascending channel here. Now, this ascending channel is a bearish channel. If it does get invalidated, it's going to be, it very well would have to be a break above the resistance and then testing our newly converted resistance into support before a continuation on to the upside. So it looks like our resistance range that we had between the 2 fib and the 2.618 is in fact still being considered. I haven't actually seen these charts in days and days now. Okay, so I know I've been getting a few requests for NIO, so this is it right here, you guys. Actually, that's another thing, you guys. It's taking a little longer for me to fulfill requests. It's because the channel is growing really fast, and I'm actually I've never experienced anything like this before. So for me to be able to get to your requests, it's taking a longer time just due to the higher volume of requests. Okay, so it's not that I'm ignoring you; it's the fact that I'm trying to get everybody situated, but it's getting a little difficult, right? I may actually have to make a live stream or something. But yeah, that's beside the point. Anyway, so yeah, our resistance range is definitely being respected, and there could potentially be a continuation onto the downside here based on a few things. Okay, so we are looking at a touch or close enough to the resistance of the ascending channel here, and as you can see, we've actually been making this up and down price action here. So if anything, I may actually want to see this come right back down to the $10 level, and thus finding a bounce and moving up to the upside, moving on to the upside after that. So you can see this candle here is an 8-hour print, and it hasn't returned anything from which it has lost. That usually presents a bearish outlook. Excuse me. So there is also a small gap here particular to the 8-hour chart, which is the span is between 1070 and 1092. So sentiment may actually want to take the price action down to these levels, cover the gap, or use the gap top support as a form of support before continuing on. But usually when as we approach these gaps, then we're likely to fill them. But gaps can go on forever. They don't actually have to be filled. Okay, so that's if you hear somebody saying there's a gap there, we're gonna fill it. No, please don't ever believe that. Okay, gaps are not like an essential rule for trading or in the playbook. It just happens because of pre-market activity where price actually opens up to the downside or to the upside. At different levels from which the closure happened in typical traditional equities, okay, or traditional markets. So this is why we get some gaps like this, okay? So there is a potential to where we continue on to the downside and use our support of the ascending channel and the closing opportunity and or the support range here before continuing up. Let's move on to the next chart now and see what we have. So this is going to be the RSI. Actually, you know what? Let's do the RSI last. This is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. This is the statistical side of the analysis here. So for the new viewers, this is volatility you're looking at, represented by this indicator, BBWP. Volatility is direction neutral, and we pair it with an indicator, a momentum-based indicator. In this case, I'm using Stochastic Momentum, which is proprietary to TradingView software. The link is actually down below. I've actually been accepted into their affiliate program, so now I'm representing them. Okay, so this is how we gauge that bias for direction. When we're versing it with volatility. Okay, so in this case, I've actually performed the back test of NIO stock from the beginning of the trading of the NIO asset to today, and that criteria is actually any time that we have expanded into critical volatility zones, which I consider to be anything above this red trend line, which is within the 90 percentile, and started a contraction phase from that fully expanded level. I have actually taken note of the iteration's duration, the upside thrust based on that iteration, and the amount of times that the volatility versus momentum profile guessed the upside correctly versus incorrectly. So the data that I ran by hand actually came back with some very interesting numbers for us to look and consider. Okay, so based on that back test on the 2-day chart particular to NIO stock, we're looking at a total of 5 iterations, of which 1 were guessed incorrectly. So we're looking at 4 correct guesses, giving us an upside accuracy of 80% with an averaged upside thrust of a massive 257.53% over the span of just of 84 and a quarter days. Okay, so this is a long-standing average. This is proof of work right over here, and I've actually mentioned this several times that we are definitely going to need to practice some patience within this average, but the statistics are suggesting a continuation up onto the upside. In order for us to validate this criteria, we needed both the volatility component and the moving average of BBWP both pivoted towards the downside alongside stochastic momentum pitched to the upside. This is the blue line where I suggested a bounce from. We since got that bounce. We pivoted towards the upside and pivoted towards the downside and have made a move. Let's see. So far, we have made a move of about 29% of the 257% suggested statistic. Know that they are statistics and not certainties, okay? So this is just how I trade. This is what we do. So if we look at the projected target of 257.53% to the upside, it actually takes us right to the 1.618 golden ratio, which is very, very interesting that it would take us there. Okay, so we are looking at $37.65 approximately on the 1.618, and we are looking at $38.23 on the projected statistical target. Okay, so upon that, to be honest with you, the signal fired off, and it is continuing to make that signal happen. Okay, so the averaged upside move is 257%. It doesn't actually have to be all the way over there, but based on the prior iterations, it does have the power to be able to do something like that. Now, it does, I mean, look at this, okay? We're going up and down, choppy, choppy, choppy action all the way to the top, which is already what's happening, okay? So this could be likely the reversal, the macro reversal for NIO stock that we're looking at, which is also very much in accordance with the Fed pivoting, okay? Or not pivoting, just easing off on their rate hikes, okay? They're going to start introducing a potential 50 basis point rate hike instead of the 75 typical liftoff that we were getting. And this is, let's see, I printed this on October 27th here, this trend line here. And I said that in our price action, our 200-day moving average is likely to continue on the way down and find some type of support right down here and curve to the way up based on our ascent. So it, you know, from this point to this point, it's still suggesting and still continuing my implied path. So we're looking good thus far for NIO stock. Okay, now the last part of the chart is actually going to be the RSI. So in the immediate short-term time frame, 30 minutes. Actually, before we do that, here is the RSI. These are the RSI properties. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 zones for the new listeners and new viewers. These are the four zones represented here for you to, you know, take a gander while I'm talking here. Okay, so the 30-minute immediate short-term time frame is suggesting a continuation onto the downside. It is in the very deep areas of the bear weakness percentile, which only indicates a potential drop into bear strength. Okay, moving average is also suggesting a continuation onto the downside. The moving average is represented by this pink line, and the RSI signal is the purple line you're seeing here. Okay, the bi-hourly RSI is, let me dim this, let me dim that green line just a little bit so that we can be able to see exactly what it's. Okay. All right. So it is suggesting a continuation to the downside. Okay. Now it is in the border of the bull strength percentile, which is likely for us to continue on to the downside and reaching the bull weakness percentile. Okay. So now the 6-hour RSI is almost about to show us no direction bias. This is looking like it's going to be very neutral soon, and it may be corrective. We can't give this any credit. Let's look at the 8-hour instead of the 6-hour. Okay, load, come on. Okay, so the 8-hour, it does have a gradual decline. It is bound to jump into the bear weakness percentile based on it sitting in the shallow areas of bear strength. So we're likely going to go into bear weakness by potentially by potentially the mid to late session tomorrow. Now, the last one is the daily time frame RSI, and this has rejected the bull strength percentile border, and it's now suggesting a continuation onto the downside. However, it's still leaning towards the bull strength percentile, so this can likely be a corrective move before finding a continuation onto the upside. Now, so if we're looking at price action to see where we can do that, it's very much in accordance to what I'm talking about here. So since we're looking at the daily time frame suggesting a continuation onto the downside and finding a corrective move, this is likely to happen. We do have several areas of support below our current position right now, one being the NOT 618 at 1126 before finding a bounce, and also we have the gap as a form of support, and the NOT 236. So and not to mention our ascending channel support right down here. So the RSI suggestions and the price action are all in accordance. I am expecting some gradual downside. I don't see it as being impulsive unless there's panic sell or unless there's a predatory shorting or whatever you guys call that stuff. But I generally do things based on data and price action and technicals and stuff, so that you can be able to understand it a little bit clearer than seeing how the CEO is taking a poop on the wrong toilet, right? So with that said, I think this is a pretty good place for me to leave off the video. Know that I'm not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as a form of entertainment. I can't actually suggest for you to buy or sell any assets. Do your own DD and we'll be okay. Okay, you guys. So with that said, I think this is it. If you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to me on Discord or Twitter. I'll make sure to leave the links in the description below for you to consider joining the Discord trading community, ARCa. But with that said, I wish you well. I wish you a good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.